Thank you for tuning in to Not Minding My Own Business. My name is Russell Farbiars, and I am your host. And here with me today is Brett Mayer of Pennsylvania Cable News. And Brett, it's great to have you on the show here today.
Thanks for having me.
Sure. So, Brett, before we dive in here, can you just tell our listeners a little bit about you and where you're working right now?
Sure. So I've spent my entire professional career in the nonprofit field. I've worked from the YMCA to Cystic Fibrosis Foundation to the American Red Cross, most recently with Penn State Health and now with Pennsylvania Cable Network, and really run the gamut of both size of nonprofit as well as fundraising structures. So going to Cystic Fibrosis Foundation was more event-based. Red Cross and Penn State Health were more cultivating of donors and corporate sponsors, and now to PCN, where I'm designing and implementing an entire fundraising structure and plan.
Very, very nice. How did you originally get started in this line of work?
Well, I'm a firm believer no one wakes up and says they want to work for a nonprofit.
It's
and
true.
it's probably not, if you ask, my kids or anybody's kids, it's not something that I think you look at and say, I want to do that someday. It just, you kind of end up there because you enjoy the mission and you have a passion for the work that these organizations do. But I actually have a bachelor's degree in music education. And the music education thing, when I graduated college, now feels like forever ago, it just never took off. I was right at the time where arts programs were being cut. And I had been working part-time for a YMCA. And when I was there, they had a CEO change. There was an opportunity there, and I jumped at it, mainly because, as a college grad at that point, you need health insurance. You need to all of a sudden be an adult. And so it was an opportunity. And then from there, I said, the music education thing just never took off. So I said, if I was going to be a nonprofit, that I wanted to grow professionally, and that led me to fundraising and more honing in on those skills, which led to my different positions over the span of time.
Sure. So is there something about your industry that the average person wouldn't be aware of?
I think a lot of people, so no one truly, I think, other than fundraisers, understand what fundraising is. There's a great meme out there that shows, what different folks think of fundraising. My friends can't believe that I ask people for money. But my grandmother, I think, wants to know when I'm going to get a real job, because she just hears that I'm going here, there, and everywhere. But really, fundraising is all about relationships and working those relationships. So basically, as a fundraiser, you take these these relationships or these folks that you've cultivated and begun introductions with, and you really learn about them and understand their passions. And then it's matching their passion with what your organization does.
Okay.
So I think there's a lot of misnomers, like, we stand there at the street corner, like with a hat, or, it's really, relationship based, and networking and being out and about.
So, so really not that different than being in for-profit business in that respect, because really for-profit business is all about relationships too, and
Mhm.
the like, know, and trust model. So it's probably very similar. People who like, know, and trust you will support the organization that you're.
Yeah, and they want your donors want to know that their gift is making a difference.
Mhm.
So whether that's impacting, um, the specific mission of your organization, and what that's doing, whether that's, when it was cystic fibrosis, was, helping find a cure, um, for CF, or with the Red Cross it was, preventing home fires and installing smoke alarms. With Penn State Health, it was medical care and medical equipment that was much needed in Berks County. And at PCN, it's making sure that this, great statewide entity is around for many more years to come, when it comes to, bringing everything that's Pennsylvania, from Groundhog Day to, our politics and policy coverage, and really, all the different programming in between, from farm show, PIAA sports championships, being able to showcase Pennsylvania on a nonprofit television network.
Yeah, so there it's probably a good time to sort of talk a little bit about PCN. I see, in your background, you have, a lot of images about, different things that PCN covers. But what is the mission of PCN?
So PCN, really is to educate, connect, and celebrate Pennsylvania. So whether that is, politics and policy, and we're not taking a stance as some other networks do, we're bringing you live, um, camera footage from the floor of the House and the Senate, and letting our viewers form their decisions. We don't take a specific view. So if we have someone on our call-in show that has one, view, we bring on someone else, and we want our viewer to form their own opinion and stance on the issues. Um, and that's very passionate for me, because when I came to PCN, I always thought I was one way versus the other. And, as our, chief content officer, informed me when I started exploring some of our programming, I'm very much issue based, which was kind of eye opening for me in a self discovery role. And then, bringing everything that's Pennsylvania, and being proud of the state that we live in this Commonwealth. I mean, it's a huge area, and we have some really unique. This was my first farm show, which was so much fun. It was a lot of work, but so much fun, and to see the people out there. And I always look at it as, when I first said I was coming to PCN, I had friends and family that, would say to me, "Oh, I know PCM because of this," and it ran the gamut of all that programming that you see in the background there. A friend of mine watches this for the PIAA sports championships. If you're a high school sports fan, um, you know there's no better place to watch our sports coverage, and we really, it's a top notch production, just like you would see on any major, sports network. I mean, we do a really great job of bringing you, most, a few years ago, the Reading High basketball championship, that was on PCN. So, you know, doing that sort of coverage, we just finished swim and dive. We'll have basketball coming up here shortly. And, so every, PIAA sports opportunity there is, those championships are on PCN. Our politics and policy coverage, I think, speaks for itself. And then, Groundhog Day, as I joked, Pennsylvania, we have a groundhog that we rely on to predict the weather. And
You
that
had
was
some
a
good, you
very,
had some very funny posts about that, about our good old friend Puxatawny Phil.
yeah. So, I had to laugh because he joined me at Farm Show. with his handler and some of the groundhog inner circle, which was very neat and fun and exciting. And you know, I think that's what we don't realize is we joke about it here in Pennsylvania, but we had over 20,000 live streams at PCN from all over the world. I mean, we had people in Germany watching it, which was really neat. And all eyes were on Pennsylvania. And then we bring you history and culture from our Gettysburg coverage and the tours and some of that great history that is there. And that usually is around July 4th. And then we also started specializing in doing Pennsylvania neighborhood series. So we take a specific area. We've done Hershey, we've done Scranton, we did Somerset County, we've done Crawford County. We've got a few new ones coming up in the next year as well. But where we specialize in the events, the history, the anything going on in that area. So Somerset County was because it was the 20th anniversary of 9/11,
Mhm.
and showcasing, the impact on that area and everything going on there. But everything from restaurants to key festivals are covered in that. And to me, that was another eye-opening show because that series got me thinking of, geez, I'm only an hour away or I'm only 2 hours away. We could do this in a day trip and see some great things across the Commonwealth. You don't necessarily need to travel to a different state.
Wow, that is I've always known about PCM, but I didn't really know all the things that they cover. So that is really really interesting. I also see behind you, one of the things is PA courts. So what do you do for the courts?
So we do all of the we do a bunch of different courthouse tours, which is interesting because it brings some of the history of the different courthouses. We also air some of the court footage of different key of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court and such. We bring a lot of that information to our viewers of what's going on up there. We do the installation of the court justices there as well. So bringing again kind of everything that's Pennsylvania back and circling through to really educate and showcase everything that's going on in the Commonwealth.
Okay. And you mentioned the farm show. I'm shocked to hear it was your first farm show. You know, pre-COVID, we would go every year because there's animals and
Mhm.
and all sorts of great things, especially when you have young kids. But I understand they had a new milkshake flavor this year, which I was not there, so I did not get to try it. But did you get to try the new milkshake?
Unfortunately, I'm not very creative when it comes to wanting to try. I think it was a raspberry flavor milkshake. I
I think
stuck with
so.
the traditional chocolate. I can tell you though that going to farm show and being there for a week, I probably gained 5, 10 pounds because the food is amazing up there. And I won't tell my wife or my children, so hopefully they won't watch this ever. But I think I had a milkshake about every day, but it was chocolate, but it was still amazing. But I did see a lot of people trying that new milkshake flavor in the raspberry, walking around with that purplish milkshake color.
Yeah, you can't go to the farm show and not have a milkshake. So I'll back you up on that if I need to.
Yeah, it was very I had friends that I was texting, and there was just pictures of it was either pictures of animals or food, you
Mm,
know because it was just I mean the food was just amazing. It was just some great stuff.
it is, and my understanding is that the lines were not that bad because a lot of people stayed away this year because of COVID. I can tell you from years past, I mean the the lines were ridiculous, and it would be very hard to get something without having to wait, 30 minutes on a line. And when you have small children, they don't wait that long for food. So you probably were able to get your sampling of what's out there, which was probably nice. And it's a nice event, and it really does a really good job of showcasing agriculture in Pennsylvania, which is a big reason we take our children, because they need to understand what that history is, and what that agriculture is in our Commonwealth. So
Yeah, and I think, like, my aunt and uncle were prime examples of, they used to go to the farm show and just because of the crowds and age wise, unable to, get there anymore. So they watch on PCN. And they're no different than a lot of our viewers who don't necessarily get to the farm show. I had to laugh. I met someone the other week that said, because of her allergy, she can't attend the farm show. So she can say she's attended it by watching it on PCN. Uh, we had another viewer who sent in a note saying that she and her late husband never got to the farm show, but they felt like they did because they watched it on PCN. So again, PCN's done a great job of bringing you that coverage, and it's a huge group effort. It's a crazy time at PCN, but it's a really neat experience, and seeing everything that happens up there and what we're able to bring onto the network is pretty cool.
so you say it's a crazy time at PCN. Is there a lot of change going on, or what's making it crazy?
Oh no, I was saying about the farm show being
Uh,
crazy.
okay.
All sorts of different events going on, camera, shuffling back and forth. Literally, I think every department is touched by farm show,
Mm.
from our marketing to to our operations, our camera crew. I mean, we got people that are just living and breathing PCN and the farm show uh, during that week.
That makes sense. I mean, it's probably one of the biggest events in the Commonwealth. Now, if any of our listeners or viewers want to watch PCN, where do they find PCN programming?
So, one, we're on every cable system in the Commonwealth. So whether you have Comcast, whether you have Verizon, whether you have Service Electric, or anything in between, uh, your cable system provides you with PCN. But the most trendiest thing, I guess, now to do is stream. So if you go to
Mhm.
PCNTV.com, or you download the PCN Select app on any Fire TV, Google Play Store, um, Apple TV, you can watch PCN. And I would encourage anyone, whether you have a subscription or want a subscription or not, to download that app, because there's a bunch of free content. um, a lot of our politics and policy stuff is free. Um, and then, just like any other streaming service, there are some costs too if you want to watch some other things. But it's a great way to start and see what's there, and our different content that's available, and everything from again, politics and policy, to our PA book program, highlighting authors in Pennsylvania and such. There's some great opportunities there, and you'll be able to see PCN tours, and tour some of the industry across the Commonwealth as well. So, I would encourage everyone to get that app, or go on our website, pcntv.com, and check us out.
So it's interesting. I didn't realize PCN had a streaming service also. Just like you're just like Netflix now.
Yeah, and that's been the one. That's something that I'm looking to really get out there more with.
Hmm.
It was to combat the cable subscriber loss
Yeah,
concept. Because
makes sense.
generations, are now streaming much more than um, ever, with, and there's all sorts of streaming services. I think, we probably have 5 or 6 of them in this house.
Yeah.
you know because you need it to watch X show or whatever. So PCN Select is no different, although it's much cheaper. um but we have the ability to go 5, 6 streams at a time. So depending on what's going on in the Commonwealth, you can watch a bunch of different things live, with press conferences, a bunch of different things, and see what's available there on PCN Select.
Now that I think about it, I think when we were in the lockdown, I used to watch the governor's press conference, almost every day to see what was going on. And now that I think about it, that was PCN, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a huge COVID, during that pandemic lockdown, when the governor was addressing everyone almost on a daily basis there, and the newest restrictions and how that affected viewers and folks in Pennsylvania. We brought all of that, and very safely, tried to figure out how we're going to do that, and really worked on the technology side of it to be able to bring that live
Mhm.
and to our viewers.
Yeah, it was very effective. I remember watching it because, like everyone else, I just wanted to know what was coming next. Uh,
Yeah.
and uh, so so Brett, why don't we pivot a little bit here, and why don't we
Sure.
talk a little bit about you? Um, so uh, are you originally from the Berks County area, or have you moved here?
No, I'm born and raised. My hometown is Fleetwood. I graduated from Fleetwood High School and then went to Kutztown University. Um, so in some ways, I've never really left Berks County or the Commonwealth. Just kind of changed locations a little bit. I now live in Douglasville. My wife and I built our forever home here in 2018. I say our forever home because after I moved once, I'm never moving again.
I understand that.
Um, and I have two beautiful little girls, um, 5 and 7, who keep me very busy. Um, but yeah, no, it's been wonderful, and I've just shifted sides of the county really,
Hmm.
um, in Berks here, but being in Douglasville is perfect because my wife has family in Philadelphia and New Jersey, so it's a great spot to be in, and my
Right.
parents still live in Fleetwood, and I've got family in the Leesport Hamburg area as well, so that the location works well for us.
Nice. Very nice. So you went to Kutztown for music education.
Mhm.
So what is your musical skill?
So my primary instrument was saxophone. And the interesting part of going to Kutztown was I was able to study more woodwinds, so flute, clarinet. Um, I was able to, take specific lessons and study under those professors there. And unfortunately, it's something that I don't do a whole lot of now. The closest I get to music ability right now is my 5-year-old is taking piano lessons, and I get to do the practice with her. So I had to laugh. I texted a friend when she started about a year ago, and I was joking with him. I'm like, I can still do chord progressions, and he was like, it's just like riding a bike. You can get back on, but I was amazed that I still could, maneuver around because I will say I'm like the world's probably worst piano player. Um, but it's something that I always wished I was better at. But yeah, but my primary instrument was saxophone, um, at KU.
Nice. Very nice. Um, what's your favorite type of music to play the saxophone?
Oh, I think if you're a saxophone player and you're not um, saying jazz, there's something wrong with you just because it's such a neat. Um, the rules are kind of out the window a little bit,
Hmm.
so it's very interesting. And some great sax players in the history of jazz. So I think studying that and learning that is my favorite to listen to.
Very very nice. And what's your favorite restaurant in the area? Now that we can start going back out to restaurants.
Oh, ooh, that's a tough one. And I think it's tough because I am very much a foodie.
Uh-huh.
Um, there is and it's kind of different by um, probably by type of food. Um, but I think, for some reason, I'm one of those people, I can always eat steak and I can always eat Italian.
Hmm.
Um, so there's a restaurant down from us called Piccolo Mondo.
Okay.
It's right by the Coventry Mall here. And it opened up either right before the pandemic or in the pandemic. I can't remember which now, but some amazing Italian food um, to try, and very nice atmosphere. And it's nice because it's family owned. So you're supporting local, and like I said, we've done we've gone there to eat. We've done catering from there. When we've had some family over, you can do the portions. I mean, you get tons of food. It's a really nice, authentic Italian restaurant.
Very, very nice. So I typically ask my guests how they contribute back to the community, but your whole work life is contributing to the community. But is there anything that you do outside of work that's community based?
Well, I currently community based well, I should say, when we first moved here for about 2 years, I was president of our HOA here,
Oh,
and
God
worked
bless you.
to thank you, worked to better our development that we lived in, or that we're living in. And then I've coached my daughter's soccer team. And which was an adventure for, I think she was 5 at the time, 5 or 6. And my wife was my assistant coach, which was even more challenging. Um,
Are you sure it wasn't the other way around?
well, yeah, I mean, it definitely was, because I would be on the field, and I always joke, the one time that I had to kind of yell at my wife on the sideline was because she was rotating the kids, but she was rotating like my goalie while the ball was coming down the field. And I'm like, you can't do, trying to get her to understand you can't do that. But and then I currently sit as the Association of Fundraising Professionals for Berks County. I sit as the chapter president on there, and my goal for that is really because, as we started, coming full circle, that you never really plan on getting into nonprofit and development work and fundraising. I don't want anyone to be left out. So it's a organization that really is designed to educate, to network, and to strategize in what's going on in various nonprofits around Berks County, which is really helpful, because I think that's one thing in development work. You kind of, sometimes you can feel like you're isolated out on an island. There's only either one, two of you in an organization. For small organizations, you're wearing many hats.
Hmm.
So when I became chapter president this year, I really stressed that I wanted to be inclusive. I wanted to make sure that, anyone that needed a sounding board, or, just reassurance. Sometimes as a fundraiser, and we all have those people in life in general, that you just need to be able to call and say, am I going about this the right way? Do I have the right idea and concept? That I really wanted to bring that to Berks County, and make sure that we're educating our fundraising folks, and that they feel that they have a support network. So that was the goal of becoming AFP chapter president here. And I started a 2-year term in January, and my goal is really to make sure that every nonprofit professional here is supported, and we can eliminate burnout and folks, wanting to leave nonprofit or development in general.
Nice, very nice. So we talked about PCN. We talked about the streaming service. What are some other ways that if our listeners want to support PCN, what are some other ways they can do that?
So from a corporate standpoint, we have sponsorships available, from sponsoring the app, to sponsoring specific programming, to just supporting PCN in general, from general sponsorships. And there are all sorts of different size commitments and such. PCN also just recently became EITC accredited. So we're an EITC institute opportunity, and through that, different corporations can designate their EITC funds to PCN, and that goes to support our Civics 101 programming. So we have a Civics 101 program that educates. There's two tracks. One is for fourth grade, one is for high school, but teaching civics and how our state government works. And making sure that that's free to teachers and educators in the Commonwealth has been important to us. So that EITC funding supports that programming. And then just viewer donations, again, any shape or size. And we have a bunch of different initiatives coming up. We'll be doing a PCN salute to the military. So that campaign, you can actually sponsor or support your military service member or veteran, and you send us their picture and a donation with some other information. Again, you can find that all on our pcntv.com website. But we create a spot, and from about the end of May till July 4th, they're going to be airing across the network. They'll also be on our website. So it's a great way to highlight, your service, your family member or friend that has done a great service to this country. It's a great opportunity to support them as well. So tons of opportunities. Again, I would just encourage them to visit pcntv.com and check everything out.
Wonderful. And if any of our listeners want to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
Email. It's brettmayer@pcntv.com.
All right. Well, thank you, Brett. It's been a pleasure having you here on Not Minding My Own Business. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. And I will see you next time on Not Minding My Own Business.